Okay, at this time, I call order special governing board meeting. First, we have our pledge of allegiance. Mr. Santa Cruz, can you please lead us in the pledge? Roll call.
Governing Board President Ms. Patricia Jimenez is present. Governing Board Vice President Ms. Maria Guzman is not yet present. Governing Board Member Mr. Rudy Santa Cruz is present. Governing Board Member Ms. Maria Hernandez is present. And Governing Board Member Mr. Harry Gerwell is also present.
Thank you. Next, we have new business information, discussion, and action. Notice a public meeting to receive information regarding the intent to close schools and potential boundaries changes. Dr. Lilly?
Madam President, members of the board, and ISAC community, I would like to invite the board members to please join us in our audience as we talk about the right sizing of our district and the information provided to our community and public. Please join us. Good evening. Buenas tardes. My name is Dr. Lily Mesalema, and I am the interim superintendent at Isaac School District. Thank you all for joining us here at Isaac Middle School. The central location was chosen given the capacity as today's topic, right sizing Isaac impacts multiple sites across the district. This evening, we begin with a difficult but necessary conversation about school closures as part of the efforts to right size our district. I want to acknowledge how challenging and emotionally charged this situation is. And ahead of time, I would like to apologize for the time. It is not easy to embrace change, and we are beginning to ease into this at a very, very fast pace. We're facing this challenge together, and we're doing it with high urgency and honesty as we strive to keep our district operating so we can continue to serve our students and our families. I want to thank those of you who have participated in the community chats with me in the last few weeks, as well as the staff members that have submitted their questions, their concerns, their input through the internal survey regarding the transition. Your engagement and input has helped us frame the information tonight. I will be presenting this information and also want to acknowledge that the financial information that is shared tonight has been developed in conjunction with Mr. Keith Kenny, our district's receiver. Today is the first of a series of meetings where we present information to you regarding the intent to right size our district by choosing two of our schools and redesigning our boundaries. As I share information about why we're taking these steps throughout the presentation, if you have questions or additional input, I invite you to submit your questions and input using the forms that are on the back or using the QR code if you would like to use the digital form. Your continued participation in this process, your engagement, ensures that your voice is part of this important transition for our students, for our families. And this is also a friendly reminder that if you would like to access the content of this presentation in Spanish, we have translation available for you. También es un recordatorio para ustedes que si desean escuchar esta presentación en español, tenemos acceso a traducir esta información para ustedes. The recording of this meeting will also be accessible following the meeting on our website. Change is hard. And if we go on the next slide, please. Change is hard and it is difficult to accept. And we find ourselves today at a crossroads, one with a steep financial challenge and a significant decline in student enrollment. With fewer students, ISAC receives less funding on an already strained system that has Arizona listed as 49 out of 50 states for per pupil expenditures. With less funding and the extremely difficult financial decisions need to take place. I know that it's not just about numbers tonight. It's about people. It's about families. It's about our future. This is why we have three guiding principles for how we approach these changes and the transitions. The first one, having our students at the core of our decision making, followed by ensuring that we follow and are fiscally responsible, as well as being able to honor our staff, families throughout this transition. We're right-sizing the district because of three major factors: financial challenges, declining student enrollment, and overcapacity in our schools. Our goal to correct the budget, our goal is to correct our budget, eliminate our debt, and ultimately operate more efficiently. The consolidation of schools is a short-term corrective action, but is also a long-term strategy to rebuild our financial funding. No one wanted this. No one is happy about this. We have no choice but to act now and act quickly. Compressing something that typically takes 10 or more months into a process of 3 months. It's very fast paced. For the 2025 school year, we are proposing the closure of Moya Elementary School and Pitico Elementary School. I understand that those students, families, and staff are deeply impacted by the impending change. I wish we had different options at our disposal to address the financial challenges we face, but at this time, there are no other options. As I explore with you the intent to close these schools, my presentation will have two sections. I will be discussing the financial reasons for the closures, followed by the impact that the closures will have on our finances and the consolidation plan. So to understand our financial reality, we must look at the Maintenance and Operations Fund. It's also called the General Fund. This is our largest account, which pays for employee salaries and benefits for teachers, administrators, support staff, utilities, supplies, transportation, and other essential services. Our budget capacity is limited by the state-established formula and local tax revenues, essentially serving as a legal spending cap for our district. It is determined by a formula that includes state funding, such as the per pupil allocations based on the average daily membership, or ADM, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, and local property taxes. Based on this formula, the state sets a maximum budget capacity, which is made up of a combination of state aid and the local tax contributions. Our cash balances is what we have available in real time to cover our bills, payroll, and services. Think of it as our district's checking account for our daily operations. It shows how much money is currently available to cover our expenses. In understanding the district's M&O, or maintenance and operation, our financial situation here, let's break down what happened in our maintenance and operations fund, which, as I have just mentioned, is the main account used to pay for the daily cost of running a school district. things like staff salaries, utilities, classroom supplies, and other operational needs. The total budget capacity for our fiscal year 2024, if we click one more time, is approximately, or was approximately 2024, approximately 26 million. 46 million. I should have brought my glasses. This is the total amount the district was allowed to spend in the M&O fund for the fiscal year. It includes the main sources of funding the district is allowed to use, primarily state aid and local property tax revenue. It also includes the approximately 1.9 million in carry forward from the prior year, money that wasn't spent and roll over into this year's budget. This number sets the maximum spending limit for the district. Now, our total expenditures, which were approximately 49 million, is the amount the district actually spent in the maintenance and operations fund in 2024, covering salaries, benefits, operations, and all regular school expenses. The problem? We spent a little bit over 3 million more than what we were authorized to do. This means the district overspent its budget capacity, a serious situation that can lead to financial penalties, state oversight, as it is the case with us being placed under receivership, and the dramatic and immediate measures our receiver has had to make, such as the reduction of staff and services this academic year. The overspent budget capacity. This number shows exactly how much we exceeded our authorized spending limit. It's essentially the gap between what we were allowed to spend and what we actually spend. Operating beyond budget capacity is not only risky, but it also goes against management expectations set by the state. The final section here, our ending cash balance. The figure shows that the district ran out of cash in its M&O account. At the end of the fiscal year, we had a negative cash balance, meaning we didn't have enough money in the bank to cover what we owed. So in simple terms, we spent more than what we had and more than what we were allowed to spend. So when we talk about how schools receive money to operate, how we pay for teachers, keep lights on, and provide the books and meals our kids need and deserve, there's one number that plays a big role: ADM, or average daily membership. School funding is tied directly to this ADM, the average daily membership. ADM isn't about attendance on a single day. It reflects enrollment over time. The fewer students enroll and staying enrolled, the less funding we receive from the state. Now, I know that that may sound like something from a finance report, but ADM is really just the way the state tracks how many students our schools are serving over time. So let me explain it through a story. So imagine a classroom full of students. It's August, and we have 25 bright, eager students sitting at their desks. As the school year goes on, some of the students may move away and others may join the class. ADM helps us calculate the average number of students enrolled in that class each day over the specific period of time, usually 100 days of school. The average is what the state looks at when deciding how much funding our schools will receive. It's not based on just one day's attendance, like I said. If your child misses a day because they're sick, that's okay. They're still counted in the ADM as long as they are enrolled in school and keep attending once they get better. This is because ADM is the average number of days in a year a student attends, But if a student withdraws or transfers out, their ADM stops. And if enough students leave and aren't replaced, the school's funding goes down. Another way to think about ADM is think about the number of days we have on our school calendar, 180 days. If a student attends all 180 days, we receive 100% of the funding from the state for that particular student. But if, however, the student was to attend 50% of the time, that's 90 days, the district receives only 50% of the funding for that student, not the 100%. So in addition to the important impact that school attendance has on student learning, this is another reason why student attendance is so critical for us. Now, with a decrease in enrollment, which Isaac has experienced and is being experienced by many other districts, especially districts in the urban core like Isaac, with fewer students attending our schools, the ADM has decreased as a result. And remember, as I just mentioned, ADM is the driving force for how we're funding, providing the main funds we need to operate. This graph shows the historical trend of our annual ADM, or average daily membership, in the last 15 years. And as you can see, the ADM has gone from 7,238 to, in 2024, 4,463. As you can see, we have had a significant decrease in ADM, which has impacted the amount of funding coming in from the state to fund our operations and educational programs. Around 2012, Isaac underwent a right-sizing effort through closing Carl T. Smith and Lila Alston schools. However, as the ADM and subsequent funding decreased, additional needed adjustments were essential. Through right-sizing and reduction in expenditures were not made earlier. This is the part of the predicament that we are in right now. These adjustments were not made earlier. So let's take a look at the expenditures on our M&O. And as I said, M&O expenditures are the backbone of our expenditures because it's our largest funding account. They support everything that happens in the school day, our M&O funds, from having a qualified teacher in every classroom to making sure that the buildings are clean and safe and equipped for learning. The main categories of expenditures include salaries and benefits for teachers, principals, classroom aides, office staff, custodians, and other school employees for both general education and special education. It also includes expenditures related to transportation costs, like fuel and bus maintenance, desegregation, and our K-3 reading program. The next slide has a summary of each of these main maintenance and operation expenditure areas and the 3 million over expenditures for the 2024. In this graph, you can see that on the dark blue and orange combined, 87% of our M&O expenses go directly to salaries and benefits for general education and special education. The green, a little hard to see here. The green includes the expenditures for pupil transportation, the light blue for desegregation, and the purple for our K-3 reading program. Here you can also see that the expenditures superseded the allocated total budget of nearly 46 million by 3 million. Now, in addition to the over expenditures in the M&O fund, the cash balances for M&O was also negative, around 3 million. The cash balance is the available cash after all revenues have been received and all obligations like payroll and vendor payments have been met. School districts have other smaller funding sources that support operations of the district. This chart outlines the cash balances for all other major accounts for ISEG, some of which subsidize our operations but are subject to various restricted uses. This report includes the cash balances for the unrestricted capital outlay and the federal projects, which includes all title grants as well as ESSER. We click one more time and then one more time. So the unrestricted capital outlay, that's what we're going to focus on right now, is a part of our school district's budget that is used to pay big ticket items, like physical items, things that are long-standing and typically cost more than the everyday classroom supplies and student technology costs as well. Think of it as the school's big purchase account. The unrestricted capital outlay, or UCO, can be used for things like furniture and equipment, school buses, computer software, facility improvements, and repairs. These funds are not used for daily operations, like paying teacher salaries or utilities. Those fall under M&O, as I had mentioned earlier. The UCO funds help schools stay functional, modern, and safe, whether it's buying a new school bus, outfitting classrooms with smart boards, or replacing worn-out desks. UCO ensures schools have the tools and equipment they need to support student learning. Now, in the next slide, we're going to take that one line and we're going to break down into the four main categories under that unrestricted capital expenditure for the fiscal year 2024, where we overspent by 2.8 million as allocated budget of we overspent the budget of 2.8 million, which was what was allocated, by approximately 9.3 million. In the blue, you see the amount spent for instructional aids and software. The orange has expenditures for property. The green represents the other category, which is mainly composed of facilities acquisition, like furniture and fixtures. And the light blue, the smaller section, is with debt services and principal interests. Now, the other cash balance, the other large cash balance that is in the negative is the federal projects. These federal projects supplement and support the maintenance and operations expenditures, but has limited uses for the salaries, services, and supplies that are intended specifically for the grant. The federal projects lines includes all title funds for the year 2020 to 2024. This line also includes the approximately 50 million awarded in ESSER funds. ESSER funds, as of September 24, no longer exist. Grants such as Title I and ESSER are reimbursable grants. That means you have to spend the grants first. In other words, prepay for the salaries and services, and then request for reimbursement. It is not unusual to see small negative numbers in this line. However, the grants should zero out at the end of the grant lifetime period. The large negatives we see in this line beginning in 2021 are due to two reasons, over expenditures and as low request for reimbursements. As a result, our cash balances across several major funds are in the negative. For the last 3 years, we borrowed from the country treasurer just to meet financial obligations. Now let's go back to ADM, now that we've talked about expenditures. This graph compares the annual expenditures to the annual ADM. And as a reminder, ADM is what the state uses to fund us. Here we can see that the trend of expenditures in the orange has continued to increase, while the ADM, and therefore the funding, has continued to fall. Adjustments should have been made sooner. What we're doing right now, right sizing, is the course correction that is long overdue. It's the gap that needs to be closed in order to right size and be able to operate within our financial means. Due to the district exceeding its maintenance and operations for fiscal year 2024 and experiencing that negative cash balance that we just talked about for M&O account and other key funding sources, such as the unrestricted capital override and federal projects, Isaac School District was placed under receivership on January 14th of this year. This means that the state-appointed receiver, Mr. Keith Kenny, who now oversees all financial decisions in an effort to restore the district's financial stability. At this time, the Maricopa County Treasurer halted payroll payments until the district achieved a positive cash flow. As shown in this cash balance report from the Maricopa County Treasurer, prior to the lease purchase agreement with Tolson Union High School District, our cash balances was negative in January by approximately 20 million. We were only able to fulfill our financial obligations to the county treasurer and achieve a positive cash balance through the lease purchase agreement. This allowed payroll for our employees to resume, as reflected in the report's ending balance after the lease purchase funds were received. Now, in addition to that lease purchase agreement with Tolson in January, Isaac has also undergone a significant financial adjustments between January and today in order to gain financial stability. These include reduced spending across several areas to include student services, operations, and staffing, saving over $2 million this academic year and projecting over $6.5 million in saving for the next fiscal year. Difficult numbers to see. And sadly, as difficult and painful as these efforts have been so far this year, they're currently not enough to bring us back to being in a financial stable situation for our district. We are now faced with a critical question. How do we function more effectively and within our financial means to keep the district operating? The answer is that we must right size. And right sizing at this time means aligning our resources with our current reality. Our district has more facility space than we can afford to maintain. Every square foot comes with cost, utilities, maintenance, staffing, and more. To stretch our limited dollars and redirect them where they need to be the most is part of being fiscally responsible and part of right-sizing Isaac. It's the intent to bring in those funding into the classroom and for student learning. That is the reason why we must make the difficult decision to downsize by closing 2 of our schools and consolidate. We recognize that this decision is deeply emotional and will impact students, will impact families, will impact staff, but it's a step that we must take to stabilize our district and ensure we remain operational, responsive, and sustainable for the future. Currently, our district has a capacity of 8,616 spaces for our students and staff, as shown here with the orange line at the top. With the closures of PTCO and Moya, our capacity will be 7,274, Still more than enough to serve all of our students while allowing room to grow for if enrollment increases. The total decrease in capacity will be 1,342. As you may be aware, other districts around us and in other parts of the country are having to make similar decisions as we are being faced with to close schools and reduce workforce. The challenges with the limited funding schools district received and the impeding changes with federal funds that are used by district to supplement services and program for students are being reduced as well. With our financial and student enrollment realities that we just discussed, the closing of schools is not an easy decision to make. We know schools are an important part of our community. They have been and they will continue to be. Several factors we're considering when selecting the schools for closure. Those include the building conditions, the funding source for those buildings, the capacity, as well as the transportation efficiencies. Moya, which was built in 2002, has one of the lowest capacities, and it's a modular site, meaning that it's not built as your typical brick and mortar school, presenting challenges when repairs need to be made. PTCO was built in 1958 and has significant maintenance needs that in the next couple of years will represent a multi-million-dollar cost to our district. The rezoning of PTCO has also cost savings in the areas of transportation by reducing the number of routes. Another significant factor in the selection was that these buildings belong to the district, meaning that they can be used as a revenue generating source to support the district to pay back the debt. Both Moya and Co can be consolidated with nearby schools that have the capacity to absorb those students and continue to serve them more efficiently. The pie chart that we see here illustrates the estimated cost savings associated with the school closures, excluding the reductions in teacher staff. The total projected saving amount to that estimate is estimated to be 1.5 million annually. The largest portion of these savings comes from the administrative and support staff, which represents the majority of the chart in the dark blue. This indicates a significant portion of the operational costs are tied with these roles, and their consolidation yields the most substantial savings. The second largest area, shown in orange, reflects the savings from specialized teaching positions. These roles, while critical, are often duplicated across multiple sites, and consolidation allows for more efficient staffing. Finally, a smaller portion in green represents the savings in utilities, which include the costs like electricity, water, and heating, expenses that naturally decrease when the closure of a physical space happens. Together, these savings contribute to the district's right-sizing strategy, helping ensure that resources are more effectively aligned with student needs and the financial realities that we face. Some of the questions that I have received have been, what will happen to the buildings? There's currently no final determination, and the next steps, just like with school closures, will have a process and vote by the board, and if applicable, by the community. We're looking for options to use the buildings and the spaces to address the deficit and pay back for the lease purchase agreement. We borrowed funds to pay off the deficit and resume operations in January. The sale of this district real estate is a consideration at this time with the intent to bring revenue to pay that debt. Now, the proposed boundary changes that will stem from the closure of the two schools will reassign Moya's K-4 students to Butler and students from Moya in grades 5 to MKU, which will serve grades 5th through 8th grade. PTCO students will be reassigned to a homeschool based on their addresses to either PDS, Mitchell, or Zito. As I stated at the beginning of our presentation, student-centered decisions drive how we move through these changes. These changes are not easy, but if you are being impacted by these changes, please know that we have made every effort to ensure that families continue to have a homeschool within a 1-mile radius. As we right size, we want to continue serving and educating your children. In addition, efforts were also made to limit the number of major street crossings for the safety of our students and our families. This timeline helps us capture the key milestones of what has already happened and what's ahead in connection to right-sizing our district. In March 18, the intent to close PTCO and Moya was shared with our families, with our staff members, and our community. During March 24th and 26th, I held community chats with me in order to engage with families and seek input as to their questions, their concerns, and their feedback on this process. That input had valuable and essential elements that form the presentation that I have before you today. On April 3rd, today, and on April 24th, we will have a special board meeting in which we will discuss and present information on the school closures. Today is an informational meeting. The next meeting on the 24th will continue to have additional information based on your input, as well as call to the public, with the final vote taking place in May 15th. That's the third meeting. On April 8th, upcoming April 8th and April 10th, I will be holding a chat with families at Co and at Moya. Again, my intent is to connect with the families and provide this information as well as answer questions that they may have concerning the school closures for their children. Finally, on May, we will have school informational nights where families will be invited to meet the principals, meet the staff members of the receiving schools. To ensure that you do not miss important updates, I encourage families to keep contact information updated with your child's school. Now, during my community chats, a lot of the questions that I received from families had to do with the impact that school closures were going to have on their child's education. And rightly so. Students are our most important asset in our future. If there's a message that I want to emphasize as we think through all the changes we're navigating, is this. Isaac School District is here to educate our students. And the efforts to right size, at the core of all of this, and as challenging as it is to hear that we're closing schools, the intent is to best use the limited funds that are available to us in order to provide the highest quality of education your children deserve. As a district, we have made incredible gains in student learning, as demonstrated by our district state rating of highly performing, or B rating, from the state in our school letter grades. We intend to continue this commitment to achieving student outcomes and access to high quality education with qualified teachers, paraprofessionals, and school leaders that love and welcome your children. They will have access to grade level and high quality instructional curriculum materials and other resources to support them thrive with their learning. Every student impacted by school closure will be reassigned to a new homeschool within the district. We're carefully planning these transitions to ensure continuity of learning and a strong sense of community. Reassigning the decisions for reassigning and boundaries are being made with the students' needs, proximity, and the programming in mind. Now, for transportation, students will continue to have access to transportation services. Our transportation department is developing efficient routes that ensure our students arrive at school safely and on time. With fewer campuses to serve, we can streamline routes and reinvest those savings into the classroom. All course subject and student services and academic supports as listed there will remain in place for your children. That includes special education and related services, also includes English language development classes, access to school counselors or social workers, PBIS, positive behavior intervention and supports, so that we can reward our students for behaving and doing their very best every day. Learning labs to provide personalized interventions and enrichments for students at all levels. These supports are essential to student growth and will be preserved in as we consolidate and reallocate resources. Finally, we know that change can be hard on children. Our school teams are proactively preparing to welcome new students with care and compassion. Counselors, social workers, and educators will be ready to welcome your students and adjust to the new environment. Like I said, we are committed to creating a safe environment, a welcoming space for your children. In addition to what I just mentioned, another impact for students is stronger academic communities, our learning environments. Every grade level will have an average of 3 to 5 teachers per grade level at the receiving schools, and students will benefit from stronger teacher collaboration, more targeted instruction, and increased capacity to meet individual learning needs. Grade level teams will be able to share strategies, group students flexibly, and respond to academic needs more effectively. As we work on staffing for the next year, our class sizes will follow the guidelines outlined in our handbook in order to ensure that we do not have large class sizes that will negatively impact the opportunity for our students to learn. Fewer campuses also means that the district resources can be stretched further, improving facilities, academic programming, and student services across the board. Consolidation allows us to invest in better course offerings, especially in upper grades, helping students build stronger foundations for high school readiness and future access. As part of our right sizing efforts to stabilize the district and align with our financial realities, we recognize that closing schools is a significant and emotional decision, especially for our students and our families. While these changes are difficult, our commitment to ensure every student thrives remains stronger than ever. In our community chats, I also receive a number of questions on the impact on our staff. As we take the necessary steps to right size our district, we recognize that these decisions also have a deep impact on our staff, the heart of our schools. Workforce reductions are never easy, and we want to approach this transition with transparency, compassion, and support every step of the way. Through school closures and consolidation, we are implementing a revised staffing model that aligns with student enrollment and financial capacity. This has resulted in a reduction of positions across several areas. In other words, with the closing of 2 schools, we will not need the same number of administrators, specialized staffing, and support staff. Our Human Resources Department will be implementing a reassignment process that provides support to both the staff impacted as well as the receiving school. Our goal is to retain as many of our talented staff as possible and place them where they can continue making a difference for our students. Part of this process includes an opportunity for the impacted staff to indicate the site and their role preference. We're working diligently to make a smooth process while also following statutory guidelines when contracts are due. Finally, I know that these changes are challenging and stressful. Our staff members are encouraged to access the Employee Assistance Program, which is a benefit that is available to all district employees, and it's free of charge. Professional development will also be part of what we think about through the change. Academic coaches will provide guidance on instructional planning and classroom transitions for those teachers that need it. Time for collaborating and planning will continue to be built within our schedule to support the team planning and being ready for our students every day. And professional development session will be continued to be offered and, if needed, tailored to support staff to adapt to their new roles and their students' needs. For families can expect ongoing updates via our website, our newsletters, robocall, and social media. This is why I encourage all of you to have your contact information updated at your child's school. The recording of this presentation will also be accessible after this meeting on our website in both English and Spanish. And the Heart of Isaac, our community center, is also available for your support and connection to community services as you navigate this transition. The closing of PTCO and Moya, two schools that have been an integral part of our community, is a very difficult change to accept. I am confident that by navigating this change together, we ultimately will achieve to be stronger in order to continue as an educational institution for the Isaac community. I want to answer questions and, to the best of my abilities, address your fears and hesitations. So I encourage you to stay informed, accessing our website and following the link to the Right Size Isaac link that will be live tomorrow and containing the pertinent information regarding the closures. I also encourage you to participate in the process and provide your input and feedback by completing the forms that are available on the back tonight or through the QR code that you can access. Those links to the forms will also be available on the website that I just mentioned. All your comments and questions will be shared with our governing board members and leadership teams because your questions and feedback help us inform our steps towards this change. I will be hosting a chat with the interim superintendent at Moya and at CO, as I mentioned. Moya, I will be there on April 10th at 3:30, and at CO, I will be there on the 16th at 3:30 p.m. This is an opportunity for us, families, and I, to engage in a conversation where you can ask me questions and share your concerns and challenges as we go through this process and work together to find the next steps. Finally, I want to thank you all for your engagement tonight. This presentation and the recording, in addition to being linked to our YouTube channel, will be linked to the website section, The Right Sizing Isaac, by tomorrow. I invite you all, staff and community members, to stay engaged. Provide your input, your questions, your feedback. Using the forms, the QR codes, your input and questions will be provided, as I mentioned, to the board members and become the basis of a Q&A that will be posted on our website as well. The next governing board special meeting, where we will talk about school closures, will be held April 24th at 5 p.m. in this very same space. This meeting will include the in-person open comment. The community is also invited to participate in open comment through digital submission in the event that you cannot be here, which will be available through our website and accessible to the governing board, all your comments, prior to April 24th meeting. In between, We also have a regularly scheduled board meeting scheduled for the 17th. No new information on school closures will be presented or discussed at this April 17th meeting. Just like it was the case today, we will continue to provide transportation to families from Moya and Co. for the two remaining meetings regarding school closures on April 24th, which is our next meeting, and May 15th. I look forward to seeing PTCO and Moya's families in the meantime at the chats with me. And I look forward to seeing you on the 10th and the 16th. Although the challenges are difficult and the change ahead is here for all of us, as a district, we remain firmly committed to the success of every student and to strengthening our partnership with families and the community. By working together with openness and care, we can move forward with confidence and a shared purpose for the benefit of our children's future. Let's continue to work together to ensure a stable and hopeful future for the Isaac District. I thank you again from the bottom of my heart for attending this informational meeting today on right-sizing Isaac. And I will look forward to reading your submitted questions and input. And at this time, I would like to invite the board back to their space and resume the next item on our agenda. Thank you.
Thank, thank you, Dr. Lilly. Next, we have executive session. Motion for possible action to convene to executive session pursuant to ARS 38-43103. A3, discussion for consultation for legal advice with attorney or attorneys of the public body, receiver duties and responsibilities. In ARS 38-43103A4, discussion or consultation with the attorney or the public body in order to consider its position concerning contract that are subject for negotiation in pending completed litigation or in settlement discussion conducted in order to avoid a resolution litigation employee contract in ARS 38-43103A1, discussion or consideration of assignment of a public officer superintendent assignment contract. Is there a motion? Is there a second? I'll second it. Call for the vote. Thank you. Now we're going to come into executive session. Thank you. Oh, gosh. Are we doing next board meeting here on the 17th or over there? Here, just all of them? If I don't hear any objections, meeting adjourned. Thank you.